everybody. I'm gonna pin, in case you didn't join me I had this for last month. I have now two cameras. We have an overhead setup. So this is especially good for this recipe because you can see how to roll them if you haven't. So I'm gonna spotlight that and me so you get like fancy two angles. If you haven't been in a program with me before, my name is Ashley. I've been writing about food and recipes on Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen. Yes, my kitchen is very tiny, based in Ossining, since, gosh, I think it'll be since 2006. So it's this summer. Oh, I'm gonna mute. Okay. All right. So today we're gonna make Vietnamese fresh spring rolls with shrimp and peanut sauce. If you don't eat shrimp, you can completely omit it. You could add in tofu or like shredded chicken or any type of cooked protein that you want, or you could just bulk up the veggies. You could put beans in there if you like, or chickpeas. It's very flexible. And if you don't have all the ingredients that are called for like the filling stuff in the recipe, it's totally fine. This is a very laid back recipe. It's just pretty and it's refreshing. It's nice for the summer. You can make them ahead of time. There's a couple kind of special ingredients that you do need though. So I'll just show you quickly. One is either rice vermicelli, rice sticks, or bean thread noodles. They're sometimes called glass noodles, and they all have different cooking instructions. So when we get to that point, we're gonna look at your package and see what it says. And then the other thing is rice paper wrappers. This one, it's labeled spring roll skin. I taped it closed after last discussion. Actually, if you haven't been in this particular program before, it's called Virtual Potluck, and we meet twice a month. The first session, we talk about cookbooks around a certain theme. So this month was all about Asian cuisine. And then the second meeting of the month, we cook a recipe based on the theme. So I showed these rice paper roll skins. So as you can see, that one just broke. It's like really brittle, but once you soak it in water, they get nice and pliable and you can roll them up and you get there's a picture, you can see right through it. I actually have never fried these before, so maybe I'll have to experiment with that. But those are the two kind of specialty ingredients that you need for this. So if you're cooking along with me, look on your noodles. Mine say to add them to boiling water for about 3 minutes. Some you just soak in a bowl of cold water or warm water. So just look and see. I know Sherry's cooking along. Just check on the back of your noodles and see what they say. So since mine need to boil, I'm going to fill a pot with water. And then we'll make the peanut sauce. Move my colander. And if anybody at any point has questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, hop in. We're a laid back group. It's fine. There are no dumb questions. And even if it's not specifically related to this recipe, if you want to know what to make for Cinco de Mayo, fine, that's coming up. Let me know. I'm always happy to talk food. So, and also if I talk too fast or too slow, let me know. I'm happy to adjust my speed accordingly. I can get a little Gilmore Girls-y sometimes. So I'm gonna put this on my stove on high. And then we're gonna make peanut sauce. So you'll need a small saucepan and a tablespoon of oil. I'm gonna use avocado oil. You can use peanut oil, avocado oil, vegetable oil. Doesn't really matter. Just something that's good for cooking on heat. I'll put it on medium. And then we're gonna mince up some onion. We'll need about 3 tablespoons of finely chopped onion. And this peanut sauce is so good. It's oh my gosh, if you've never had peanut sauce and you like peanut butter, you're in for a treat. It's one of my very favorite things. Just need something to keep my garbage. It's great with chicken satay or beef satay for dipping. We like it in this. And honestly, if you want to make a similar recipe to this, but you don't want to go full on wrapping and rolling fresh spring rolls, you could just make it into a salad. Just toss all the ingredients and don't worry about wrapping them. That's totally fine. Nobody's gonna sue you for not doing the right way. So just kind of cutting this into a small dice or mince. Heard some water sizzling on my stovetop over there. Eventually, when we move to a bigger kitchen, or a bigger house with a bigger kitchen, I'm hoping to get gas would be lovely. But a lot of people complain about the induction, like the glass cooktops. I don't mind it. You just have to be careful, especially if you use like cast iron, that you don't slam it down too hard or you will shatter your glass cooktop. And in fact, my husband one time opened this cabinet and a bottle of vanilla fell out onto the glass cooktop, and we had to replace the whole thing because the glass was like one piece that goes into the back, and we had to replace the entire stove. I was devastated, but so we've got about 3 tablespoons of onion, and then I'm gonna mince a clove of garlic. Probably should have doubled this recipe because I'm fairly certain my son's gonna go to town on it. That's good. This is a great way to get kids to eat veggies too, especially if they kind of help shop for the things that go inside of the spring rolls. You could do like any sort of colorful veggies that you like. So the onion, garlic, and we're gonna add just 3/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and we're gonna put all that into the sauce, not the saucepan, the small saucepan, not the one with the water, the one with the oil. Sorry, it has been a day. So I'm just gonna put those in and let them saute until they get soft. Just sometimes they're called chili flakes, red pepper flakes. It's like what you find at the pizzeria on the tables. All right, I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit because it seems like my my pan got really hot over medium, but we're just gonna stir this until it gets kind of translucent. Should just take like 3 or 4 minutes maybe, although since my pan started out a little hot, I think it might happen sooner. And then we'll whisk in 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. So I'm gonna measure that now so that it's ready. Cup. And if you notice your garlic and onions taking on a lot of color, turn your heat down, maybe take it off of the heat for a moment. You can see mine are already getting a little toasty in there, kind of golden. All right. Ooh, okay. We're gonna also add, in a minute, I'm gonna pour in the water and also 2 tablespoons of creamy peanut butter and 2 teaspoons of hoisin sauce. So this is hoisin sauce. It's like a really thick, rich sauce. It's like kind of the texture of molasses almost. It's really nice. It's got a lot of different spices in there and it adds a really nice deep flavor. So I'm gonna pour in that is 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. This is just my husband makes peanut butter for us. He just blends peanuts and I think he puts like a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar in there sometimes. And I had exactly enough left for this recipe today, so have him make another batch tomorrow.
Ashley, I'm going for the chunky peanut sauce because we don't have.
Hang on one second, my fan is very loud. Sorry, say that again.
So I only had chunky peanut butter. I unfortunately
That's
couldn't smooth last night. So do I need to adjust measurements at all, or it doesn't matter?
No, just go for it. I think it'll be fine.
Great.
And actually, like, the texture might be kind of nice because I usually put a couple peanuts on to garnish it at the end anyway, just because it looks nice. They'll be already in it for you, so no problem. So just to show you, this is what it looks like now, and I'm just gonna, you can whisk it or just stir it together till it smooths out, and we'll let it cook for like just a minute or so until everything is combined, and then I'm gonna transfer it into a little container bowl so that it cools off, because you want it to be cool when you dip everything in there. Did I forget? Hang on a second. I think I forgot something here. Tomato, here we go. Sorry, my apologies. 2 teaspoons of tomato paste also. If you have one of these tubes, I think they're really nice for keeping tomato paste in the fridge and not having to cover a can. Just squeeze it out like toothpaste. They're really nice. So 2 teaspoons of this and 3/4 of a teaspoon of sugar. So if it's thick and you need to whisk it, you can whisk, otherwise just stirring is fine. Okay. Sugar. If you're using peanut butter that's got like store-bought peanut butter that's already pretty sweet, you might want to start with no sugar and just see if you think it needs it. Since our peanut butter is just peanuts, I don't usually, but it's not so much sugar that I think it would make a huge difference. So yeah, I'm just whisking this in here till it all combines, and then I'll transfer it into a little bowl. All right. So yeah, the onions make it a little bit chunky anyway, Jerry. So your tomatoes should be totally fine in there. This bowl I think is a little overkill. I'll get a smaller bowl. Little ramekin.
Angela, is that thing come into a boil, or what's it supposed to be doing?
It can bubble a little bit and just stir it all together, and then it should kind of just like a thick paste. I think that the boiling or simmering just kind of helps like melt down the sugar and everything. And
I don't see anybody jumping in there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, it doesn't need to be like a rolling boil or anything. Okay. My noodle water is boiling though, so I'm gonna put in 1 ounce of the noodles.
Okay, so since mine is all written in Japanese, how do you tell an ounce?
Oh, well, it doesn't really matter if it's 1 ounce because we're just taking handfuls and like putting them in there. This package that I have, that's like half of the size of a sheet of paper maybe, is 8 ounces. So I'm gonna put like, I'll probably put a little extra. I'll probably put like 1/3 of the package in here. That's okay if you have a little.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, just like 1/3 or 1/4.
Mine's one of those like, okay.
And also a very handy tool, especially if you're shopping for ingredients at a market where labels aren't written in English. There's a Google Translate app on the phone. You can hold it up with the camera and it will like translate it on the fly. It's not always totally accurate, but it could help. So yeah, I'm just gonna I got this brick of noodles kind of. I'm just gonna see where the breaking wants to happen. And shatters everywhere, but you can see they're really thin, so they do cook real fast. Okay, Alexa, set a timer for 3 minutes. All right, and then I'll scoot this over to the side and get rid of all these extra noodles that popped up. Okay. So I find with a lot of recipes like Vietnamese or Japanese or Chinese recipes, Korean recipes, they call for kind of a lot of ingredients, but most of the work is just chopping them. So as long as you get it all done, once you go to actually assemble, it happens pretty quickly. Get my, excuse me, kitty cat. No, I already fed you. Just gonna take some tongs and kind of loosen up the noodles to make sure they're not in one big clump. Okay. So, is your peanut sauce looking all right over there, Sherry? You get do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Awesome. Okay. So, once we drain the noodles, if you want to get a colander ready to drain them, I like this one. It can stretch to go over the sink, or it can set down. It's just kind of handy because it's versatile. These noodles are very thin, so if you have a colander with bigger holes, you might want to be careful that they don't go straight down your drain. Speaking from experience there, definitely happened before. And then I think just while I'm waiting for that, I'm just gonna rinse off my cabbage and like scrub the carrots just until the noodles are ready. That way I'm ready to go and I'm not overcooking my noodles or not paying attention to them. And actually the first time I made a recipe like this, I made it with a friend and we were so busy chatting that we finished wrapping all of our spring rolls and we're like, oh, we didn't even put the noodles in them at all. So we just had them on this, we made it like a plate of noodles and then garnished it with the spring rolls. So you can generally speaking, you can fix things. It's not a big deal. For the carrot, I like to just leave the skin on and scrub them. The skin's got a lot of good nutrition. But if you don't like it, you can certainly peel it. And if you have like a tray, like a plate or a tray handy for your ingredients once they're chopped, I'm gonna have, Alexa, stop. I'm gonna use a quarter sheet pan just to kind of lay all of the prepped ingredients. That way, when I go to assemble, it's easy to just grab one from each kind of column. Okay, so drain these noodles. And then either back in, we're gonna rinse them with cold water to kind of stop them from cooking. And then either back into the pan or a bowl that's not hot from cooking. I'm gonna put them in there once they're rinsed and drained, and we're gonna toss it with a little seasoned rice vinegar. Shaking out the extra water. You can see that little tiny bit of noodles, it kind of cooked up into a lot. Like I've got quite a bit here. So take that and we're gonna toss it with a tablespoon of seasoned rice vinegar. This is what you'd use if you were making rice for sushi. It's a short grain rice and they toss seasoned rice vinegar with it. There's sugar, I think it's, tells me this is rice vinegar, sugar, salt diluted with water. So it just kind of adds a nice flavor and it helps keep them from sticking too much to each other. Although I don't find that these type of noodles stick as much as like Italian pasta. All right, so I'm just gonna set these to the side. Like I said, it's a lot of prep and then assembly, super easy. What did I list first? Okay, extra large shrimp. I bought mine frozen. A lot of shrimp has already been frozen when you buy it from the store. So I usually just save a step and buy it in the freezer section. So I took some of these were cooked shrimp. I took them out of the freezer yesterday and put them in a bowl of cold water in the refrigerator. And the cold water helps them thaw evenly. And so I'm gonna just peel the shells off of the tails. The more work the store does for you, usually the more expensive they are. So you can totally cook your own shrimp and peel your own shrimp. It'll take a little more time, but it'll be less expensive. But when they're already cooked and they just have the little tail piece, I think it's easy to just pop them off like that. I also like buying them raw with the tail piece on like that if I'm making shrimp cocktail. And I have a recipe for really good shrimp boil that you boil the water with lemon and peppercorns and a couple other spices for a little bit to flavor the water before you cook the shrimp. And then it adds like a really nice flavor to your shrimp. But for this, I just got already cooked ones. I'm gonna take a knife, usually where they've been split down where the vein was, where that's been cut out. So I lay it down flat and I just cut it in half horizontally like that. So we get each one shrimp makes 2 pieces, and then we'll take those 2 pieces and lay them in our spring rolls. I thought extra shrimp because I wasn't sure how hungry my family was going to be today, because we're having this as dinner versus as like an appetizer. So I'm just cutting them all in half. And you can use, if you get smaller shrimp, you could use more of them. If you get, if you get those like colossal shrimp, they're huge. You might want to cut them into smaller pieces, maybe like on an angle or something. You could even just leave them in whole if you wanted to. It's really, again, not super finicky. But it is, when you're buying them, not all cooked shrimp look kind of pink on the edges. Some of them are just a little more white, but the pink ones look really nice in something where you can see through the wrapper, like this dish. While I'm doing this, our next month's theme is appetizers. So on Tuesday, May 4th, we're having the cookbook discussion, talking about favorite appetizers. If you have any cookbooks that you want to bring, that'll be at 7 p.m., not 6. And then on Tuesday, May 18th at 6, we're doing an appetizer cooking class. And I'm not sure yet what we're going to make. I got to think about this because it'll be maybe a little warm. So I don't want to do like oven for an hour that's going to like heat up the kitchen. Maybe something springy. We'll think about it. But making like a meal out of appetizers is my favorite. So all the shrimp in half, I'm just going to put them back into the bowl, set them off to the side, then start tackling some of all these veggies. Does anybody have any favorite appetizers that they like have made at home or out at restaurants? Do you have any favorites? Or is it not good to talk about next month's theme during the current month's class? I love like a good cheese plate. That's always fun. I love
calamari.
Oh yeah, like fried calamari.
I love fried calamari, and I love things with like coconut shrimp. I love coconut shrimp.
I got coconut shrimp from Yamafuji Sushi over in Briarcliff a couple days ago. It was really good. I'd never had theirs before. So I'm just thinly slicing some Napa cabbage. Gonna add that to my tray. There used to be a tapas restaurant in Croton that had a lot of really great appetizers. They had this one that was like flaming chorizo with figs. They would like bring it out to the table on fire. It's really cool. They closed. It's where Raga is now.
Yeah, I was unhappy when they closed.
Yeah. I know.
I liked them. Yeah.
That was so sad.
Yeah.
I didn't find Thai basil, so I'm using regular basil this time. And if this brand is new to me, but Bowery basil, it's locally grown, zero pesticides, traceable, no need to wash. Like they seem to put a lot of care into how they grow their herbs and lettuces, which is really nice. So the basil will kind of turn brown when you slice it. So I'll wait till last to slice that. I'll do my mint leaves. And this actually popped up from my garden in the back. I went and looked.
Wow.
And to see, kind of assess what was going on back there before I figured out what to plant this year. And I have tons of mint, some chives. I have a few different types of mint too. So Thai basil is kind of like a mix between mint and basil, but it's a little licoricey. It's really nice. And the leaves, I would say, are more sturdy. So like basil leaves are really kind of really delicate. Mint is a little sturdier. I feel like Thai basil is kind of a mix of the two. It's got a really nice flavor. If you can find it, I recommend giving it a try, unless you hate licoricey flavor, which I used to, and a lot of people do. So I guess it's good to know.
So I have a question about the mint. I usually do have it in my garden, and I don't, and my inside one is too small to get a quarter of a cup from. So is it worth putting in, I mean, it's homegrown, but it's dried mint, or just skip the mint altogether?
You can try it. I don't know why not. I also dry my own mint. I use my air fryer. There's a dehydrate function, and I still have this much from last year, like of dried mint, which is crazy. I use it in a lot of Persian food. But yeah, you could I would just maybe before you put it on, kind of rub it between your hands and let it kind of sprinkle down on there to make it not, sometimes there's like some woody bits in there and stuff from the stems. So just gonna leave these leaves whole. Oh yeah, I don't even cut up the leaves. I forgot. So I'm gonna leave these whole and put them on my tray. And then the basil, I'm just gonna pick them off of the stem so they're individual leaves. We're also using cilantro. So it's a really great combination, but you can use one of the herbs or two of the herbs or all three. You don't have to go crazy. Like I said, it's pretty forgiving, and just having that freshness in there is really nice.
Ashley?
Yes.
Chris had a question about the air fryer, and do you remember what brand it is?
I do. I have a link to it in my Amazon shop, but I have a Ninja air fryer. Mine's kind of small. It's a 6-quart, I think. It's great. I mean, we're a family of 3. I use it all the time. Like reheating pizza in it is amazing. Nice and crispy. But yeah, you can dehydrate. I've dehydrated citrus slices. What you want to be careful with if you're doing something like citrus or dehydrating something that you have to slice on like an herb, you want to use a mandolin if you can, or just cut them all as close to the same thickness as possible so they dehydrate at the same speed, and you don't end up with some that are still chewy and some that are raw. But yeah, Ninja is the brand that I have. Again, when I move to a bigger place, I'll probably get a bigger one. We got my mother-in-law, I think it's a Cuisinart. It's a kind of toaster oven style. So it's also a toaster oven. The cilantro is, sorry, it's a toaster oven style one. So you could use it as that also. And it's a little bigger, which is nice. And she loves it. Yeah, I was shopping last night for all the herbs and stuff, and the stores were like hit hard. I don't know what's going on. Everybody's trying to buy herbs and berries. Like there was nothing barely on the shelves. I had to go to a couple places. So the cilantro isn't looking the best, but it's all right. And usually I don't mind the stems in my cilantro, but when I'm putting it in things, but for this, kind of having the leaves is nice. So you can kind of take your knife and kind of shave almost if you hold the stems together, and that'll kind of help pull off mostly just leaves. But like I said, the herbs weren't looking too great. And then I'll just kind of go in and pick out any big pieces of stem that I find. I think stuff like cucumber could be good in here. If you like shaved it with a vegetable peeler would be nice. If you had like rainbow carrots, those would be great. Nice and pretty to see all the colors through there. All right, so I'm gonna add this to my tray also. So right now, oops, I've got cabbage, basil, mint, cilantro. Gonna grate the carrot. You want kind of like a medium, don't do like a super fine grate like this, it'll kind of dissolve. I'm gonna use like the size I use for cheese often. This one is cool. There's a lot of box graters stand up, and sometimes they'll have like a little container to catch what you've grated and measure it. This one does too. I don't find the measurements super accurate on here, but it's nice to have it all kind of get contained into one place. You can also use a food processor if you have a, there's like a blade that's usually it's a shredder on one side and a grater on the other side. And sometimes they come in sets and you can get it to where it'll have a couple different coarsenesses, kind of like these plates. You'll have like different sizes of shreds that you can get. So depending what you're making, do you want something more finely ground or shredded rather? And sliced too, you could use it for cabbage. I use my food processor, the shredding plate, which is like this one, the straight one. That's great for shredding cabbage for coleslaw or to put on top of tacos. So I'm just gonna grate some carrots. And this is the other thing too, you can like kind of clean out your fridge. Like I have some radishes, I might throw some of those in some of my later spring rolls. So got a nice little pile there. I'm gonna add that. How's your chopping going over there, Sherry? Good. And you can always like start out with one carrot, and then if you see that you're hitting the carrots pretty hard in your rolls, you can add more. Let's see, mint, basil, cabbage, cilantro, carrots. I'm gonna do some green onions. I will say Stop and Shop had no green onions. Acme had gigantic green onions. So I'm gonna cut these, I'm gonna cut the ends off, cut them in half, and then go real thin, especially at the bottom here. I'm gonna go where the white is. I wanna cut them really thinly because it's very oniony down there. So I'm just kind of cutting them thinly on an angle. And if you find your pieces are a little thicker than you wanted, it's okay. You can just go back over and chop them a little bit more. But the bottom of a green onion is a lot more oniony tasting and the top is a little more herby. I like to use the whole green onions when I cook with them. I know a lot of recipes call for you just to use the white parts and light green parts and then like throw out the rest. I think it's a little wasteful, but you do whatever you like that you'll actually eat. I'm just gonna save these off to the side. You can put them in a bag in the freezer with like the end bits of produce that you're chopping off, like the stem ends of carrots and stuff, and you can put it all in a bag and freeze it. And then when you're going to make, if you want to make veggie stock or something, chicken stock, you can add those like that. Oh, you're welcome, Chris. I'm assuming that was from the air fryer. So it's so much chopping, I'm not looking at the the chat too often. But and then the last thing I had, I called for red leaf lettuce if you have it. There's a nice big heads of red leaf lettuce, and you would just take the stems out and thinly slice them. I have this I got from Wegmans. It's called Sweet Couple, but there's some red ones in there. The color is really nice. So I'm just going to take a couple of those. With tender stems, I'm not going to bother taking out, but if I used one like this with kind of a hardier stem, I would probably either cut it really, really thinly or remove that bit. Save that for a salad or something. And the only other thing I think that I have to cut is I want to chop some peanuts to put on top of the sauce at the end. Just want a little bit more lettuce. Yeah, these are they're a great way to pack a lot of veggies into your meal. You can totally do these wrappers. I should actually try to do some like desserty kind of ones with it. Like, because I think fruit would look really pretty in there, like some sliced strawberries and stuff. I think that'd be really nice. They're really versatile. I tend to only make these with them because I like them so much. The peanuts are totally optional. You don't need them. You could put them inside, a little bit inside too, if you wanted, for a little bit of texture.
Ashley, are the peanuts salted or unsalted?
The ones I'm using are unsalted roasted peanuts. I tend to buy them like that because if, like I was saying before, if you're making peanut butter, do not use salted peanuts. It will be like blow your head off salty. You can always add salt for stuff like that. I just think they're more versatile. I put them actually almost most mornings. I have like a yogurt or cottage cheese parfait, and I'll sprinkle some peanuts on there with my fruit and a little honey. Yeah, I use a lot of peanuts. I buy a big giant container from the wholesale club because between peanut butter and parfaits, I use a lot. So I have like this giant tub of peanuts that I use. All right. Are you good on chopping over there, Sherry? We ready to assemble?
I could be, perhaps, yes.
If you want, take a moment.
I think I'm good. I'm not sure if I have enough lettuce. It was a little hard to tell. I was trying to grab you to see.
Oh, I mean, I only put, like I have it over here. It's not a ton. Just, you don't need it. You can throw a little in there if you want. You could always roll up a couple, and if you're feeling fancy, you could add some in there.
I'll just grab extra if I did. I think I pulled all my from my package like you.
And you could totally like just tear it with your hands, like tear a little extra into there. Like it's all going to be rolled up anyway. You're not really going to see it. Okay, so I'm taking a plate that's deep-ish and is large enough to fit my spring roll wrappers. So you want to make sure that they can fit inside. I'm going to put warm water in the plate. And we're only going to do one of the wrappers at a time because they get really sticky. And it's a little messy it'd be hard to work with. They would get too soft while you're doing the one. If I can fit this on here well.
Did you say what temperature water we should use?
I use warm water. I think it usually helps to soften them a little easier. And if you start having trouble working with it because the water cools off after a couple, just replace it with some fresh water. So, oops, and I just broke off. You can see how brittle these are. Once we put them in the water, I just kind of set it down in there and press down with my fingers to submerge it fully. And it usually takes about 10 or 15 seconds. You'll start to feel it. Like you can see it's pliable now. It's not breaking, but it's not soft. Once it soaks for a few seconds, it'll start to feel kind of like cloth, like fabric. And it almost doesn't even look like it's in there now. They turn nice and translucent, which is why you can see all the ingredients in them. I haven't actually used this brand before, but you can find them at like regular grocery stores. Often have them. I've seen them in Ossining at Stop and Shop, ShopRite, Acme, lots of different brands. So it's feeling a little rigid still, but you can see I can kind of fold it and it's moving. Maybe my water isn't quite warm enough. The first one's always like a little bit of an experiment. Oh, so now I don't know if you can tell, it like gets wrinkly, like it's really nice and pliable. So I'm gonna take it out and just kind of let the extra water drain off. Set it down on the board. Try to get it in like one layer. Scoop that over a little bit and spread it out so it's a nice round. it'll stick to itself a lot. So I'm gonna take 2 pieces of shrimp and I'm gonna put them, I had sliced them in half, so I'm gonna put the pink side down in the bottom like third of the, I don't know if you can actually see the outline of it because it's transparent now, but so halfway is about right here. So I have them kind of down toward the bottom. And then I'm just gonna go to my tray. I'm gonna take a little bit of everything, sprinkle it across in a horizontal line. And I like doing these, like the colorful herbs and stuff under the shrimp, because when you flip it over after, it really like the color really pops out. If you put the noodles on top of the shrimp, it kind of washes it out, which is fine. It still tastes great, but it doesn't look quite as fun. So I'm just kind of burying my shrimp underneath a pile of herbs and lettuce and cabbage, some carrots. And don't go too crazy filling it up. Like, you want to be able to kind of keep it to that bottom half. And then I'm going to grab some of these noodles that we had cooked they're cool now. And they're soaked with a little bit of the seasoned rice vinegar. Just taking a little pile of them right on top. And now we roll. So the first one sometimes doesn't go so well. Actually, let me get my platter ready to transfer them to. Okay. Little tiny kitchen problems. All right. So I'm taking the bottom piece and it's nice and stretchy. I'm gonna fold it over the noodles and then kind of use my fingers to squish everything down. It's like a burrito if you've folded a burrito. Then the side, again, just kind of pull gently to unstick it from your work surface. Fold it over. Squish everything down to the other side. I think the next one I'm going to start with the sides. And you can see this one ripped a little. That's totally fine. It'll stick together. Okay. So I'm going to kind of squish down and roll and keep kind of compressing it as you roll. Ooh, these ones are very sticky. Just go kind of gently. Eventually it'll release. Yeah, this one's not the prettiest, but I feel like that's the rite of passage for the first one. Not always the best. A little gap there. I think next one I'm going to start on the sides and do the bottom one after. So you can put this on a platter or a plate. One thing that's kind of nice to do, since they can stick to each other, I'll sometimes dampen, like this is just like a kitchen towel, or you can use a paper towel and just wring out the water and set it kind of over them to kind of keep them a little damp. But you don't have to. I'm gonna change out my water, see if a little warmer water helps on here. It's just kind of like every brand of the noodles calls for different directions on how to cook or soak them. I feel like the rice paper is kind of different per brand also. All right, so again, I'm gonna soak this. Just press it down. These kind of remind me of that, like the pattern on the steel on the side of a semi truck. My dad drives a semi truck, so I'm very familiar with that pattern. But you know, like that you step on, like the brushed steel, or like the frosted glass on offices or bathroom windows. This is fun for kids too, as long as they don't get as long as you make sure they know it's okay if it's okay if something doesn't go totally perfectly. I think it's good too if you show them that you have a little hard time with it, then it's totally okay. Then they realize like stuff happens, it's okay. It'll still work out. It'll still be delicious. See some rolling going over there on Sherry's side. All right, so this now is nice. And I think that's kind of a good test if you can kind of scrunch it together and it gives. I think that's pretty good. So let's try this again. This time I'm gonna try starting from the bottom when we roll. I mean, from the sides when we roll. Put a couple shrimp, a little bit of each of these ingredients. This is why I think having like a tray of all your ingredients right next to you works out nice, because you can also kind of like go down piece by piece and see if you got everything. But again, like if one of them doesn't have lettuce in it and the other ones do, they'll still be good, just in a different way. If you were making a salad with these noodles, maybe a little bit of sesame oil in them would be good too. All right, so I'm gonna start on the side this time. Just kind of fold it over. Then try the bottom. Let's see if that works a little better. Yeah, I think I can get a little better handle on it so it's not pulling out of the sides. Fold this side over, tuck everything in. Like a tuck and wrap. If you're making these in advance, like I said, use a damp towel to store them. They totally hold up in the fridge for a couple days. Or I guess with shrimp, I tend to like to eat seafood like the day of or the day after I buy it, but nice and portable. Everything stays pretty well contained. Good picnic food if you pack it in a cooler with a little ice pack, and like really refreshing if everything in there is nice and chilled. So that's really all there is to it. And then when you serve them, just serve them, dip them right into the peanut sauce. And if you want, I'll cut open the less pretty one so you can see on, I mean, you can see from the outside, but just so you can kind of see, it looks really fun inside also. Get all those colors. And so like I said, any ingredients you have, if you have like colored bell peppers would be really nice in here. Anything that's kind of crisp and fresh. Sugar snap peas would be nice. Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions? And how are yours going, Sherry? Good, good, good. I want to see.
It's fun. It's definitely tricky.
Yeah, I think the more you do, they start looking better and better and better as you go.
I'm excited about wrapping from the side because I found that when I pulled from the bottom, it ripped. I'm using garbanzos. I'm not using shrimp.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's a little thicker.
You could try, as a thought, maybe like gently smashing the chickpeas and just putting
splitting them in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I don't think I filled mine as much as yours, and the filled ones look better. So hint to everyone who tries this at home. The fuller seems to be almost in some way, I don't know, yours looked easier, but it's probably because you're the professional and I'm not.
I feel like every time I do this though, it's like a learning curve for some reasons, because if you don't practice it a lot, but it's a good excuse to make them more often. So like I said, our next dates for this program are May 4th at 7 for a cookbook discussion on appetizers, and then May 18th at 6 for an appetizer cooking class. Likely I'll pick like 2 appetizers, so you can plan on appetizers for dinner, and if you want to do like a little, have snacks as dinner, it's a great way to do it, or you could just do it with whatever else you're having. I also have, not with the library, but I have a cheese board class coming up on Saturday the 15th at 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm going to show, I do a lot of cheese boards, and so I'm showing kind of how I go about doing that, and also showing you how to make these garlicky goat cheese and herb stuffed peppadews. And I have, actually, well, let me take this out of here. I have an events page on my website that lists everything that I do, like with the library and with the ones I do on my own. And I have a kids cooking class Sunday, May 23rd at 11:30, making stuffed French toast. And that's a really fun one, like especially you get to hollow out the baguette and kind of mix up what you want inside of the, with the cream cheese. It's a really fun one. I made it with the teen room at the Ossining Library like 2 years ago, maybe. So one of the times I made something French toasty there, and if you happened to come to the library and smell French toast, that was probably us. I know people get very sad when we don't share, but so I'll link in the chat. This is my events page. Oh, thank you for posting my my homepage. That /events is to all the events that I have. The next couple of virtual potlucks are not up yet, or one of them's up.
Yeah, I think they're May's up. Don't
Okay.
think we have June up
Yeah,
quite
June.
yet.
Yeah, but June is going to be Latin cuisine. So there's
Yeah.
again lots. I love these themes because there's like so many places you can go, so many different dishes to explore, and it's a great way to do it at the library. You can like dip your toes in different things and see what you like and see what kind of things are good to do at home on your own and which ones you would rather leave to the to the restaurants. But I think Diana had some other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So again, apologies for the link. I'm really sorry. I'll make sure they're straight next time. So there's a couple things. If I mess up the link or if you miss it or whatever, it should be correct. And again, I'll do my best. On the calendar, like if you re-register, that doesn't matter because the link is that automatic email. So just go ahead and do that. If like you lost it, you can't find it, whatever. The other thing is, I'm going to put this in the chat box to our LibGuides. If you go to austinlibrary.org and then go to digital library and then LibGuides, like library guides, LibGuides, you'll see a whole list, and towards the bottom, alphabetical, is virtual potluck. And if you click on that, it kind of opens its own little website. And I finally got posted all the past videos that Ashley did, well, January, February, March. And all the recipes are there for that and for tonight. And the book list of stuff we talked about. I still have to post the cookbook discussion videos, but I will get to those. So I think that's it, right? And I'll post this video too. It does take a little while. You got to do a lot of download, upload, but I'll get there and I can let you all know. Okay.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun, especially I love in the cookbook discussions, like, go out ahead of time, go to the library, or if you have your own cookbooks that you want to talk about, because it's a great way for other people to find out about ones they wouldn't have ever known about necessarily, or it's nice to have a conversation about it and talking about your favorite dishes and everything versus just, I can certainly talk for an hour by myself, but I like the conversation, and people who like talking about food are always really fun. So
yeah, and definitely, so I just posted the LibGuide, but everybody definitely should check out our cookbook collection at the library. It's a good, pre-commitment to buying to
yes,
see if you like them and stuff. And we have tons of them. And we actually have so many, there's going to be a point where we have to get rid of some. So I will let you know, and you can have some of those cookbooks. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there. So definitely check it out. Okay.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you. I hope you
Well,
love the recipe.
Thanks, everybody. That was just great.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go make these and eat them. Thanks everybody so much. That's great. Thank you so much. Everybody take care and be well.
See you in a couple weeks.
This was
Bye,
fun.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you in a couple weeks. All right, Ashley. Thanks so much. Oh, wait, I forgot to stop the recording.